All right, you loyal listeners. Welcome to another episode of Agents Influence Podcast Conversations with me, Jason Cass. And today I'm here with Andrew Chermark. Did I say that correctly?
That's correct. Yep,
That's
Chermark.
fantastic. I
That's right,
never get them
Jason.
correct, so that means you're a special guy already, Andrew. Hey, you loyal listeners out there, thanks very much for taking your time to listen to us. Always try to make this enjoyable for you. Promise I will on this one. Again, remember, we're trying to keep these podcasts between 20 to 30 minutes at max, trying to shrink that down by listening to you and your voice of what you said. You know, the average car drive is anywhere between 20 and 25 minutes. And people can't stand when they have to wait to listen or they have to sit in their car and do their makeup a little bit longer so that they can hear what we're doing. I don't want you to do that, so we'll keep it short as we possibly can. So let's get on with this. I want to remind you, if you haven't had a chance, be sure to go to AI Inditech. That's INDIETECH. .com. Be sure to go there and check it out September 24th through the 26th of next year. We're going to be back in Indianapolis doing Indie Tech again. So it's going to be a fantastic time. I will mention this also to you, loyal listeners, right before we get into talking with Andrew. At the mastermind, as you guys are aware of, we have a mastermind and we have our brain share. This year, due to what we're doing, we're only allowing mastermind members to come. So you have to be a champion. That's what mastermind members, that's what we call ourselves. So we're going to Puerto Rico, and we are having Brent Kelly with the Sitkins Group come in and teach advanced agency management. So it's something, once again, I always try to bring things to BrainShare that you really can't find out there. And this is why I'm trying to bring this to you. So if you want to be interested, go check out Agency Intelligence Mastermind is what it is. AgencyIntelligenceMastermind.com. You can check it out and you can join us. There's no contract or anything like that. So you can get in there. So, hey, that's enough of that. Thank you very much for listening to it. Andrew, Jason Cass, nice to have you on the podcast.
Well, thank you, Jason, for that opportunity. I'm very excited to speak with you and your loyal listeners.
That's right. That's what we call them because they are 10 years, 10 plus years now going at them. And so I still have people who tell me they've started from day one. Maybe they're lying or not, but that seems like a long time. Andrew, so tell us about you. Give us a rundown of who you are so that the loyal listeners can relate.
All right. Well, thank you again, Jason. Yeah, I'm 56 years old. I live on the Northeast. I live about an hour south of Manhattan, about a mile from the beach. Happily
Nice.
married 24 years. In business with my wife for 15 plus years.
All
And
right.
I got two boys, teenage boy and one in college. Um, Just very, again, we've been in the telematics business for a long time. Started out at Cellular One many years ago and got into Nextel. Everybody remembers that Nextel two-way radio.
That shit was
Um,
cool. That was cool
yeah,
back then,
really,
man.
it was unbelievable. I actually owned 6 stores in Jersey, had 50 employees, and it was a great run. We were actually doing GPS tracking on Nextel phones back in the day, Jason. It was
Wow.
funny. It was my first experience with tracking in the late 90s, and one of my customers called me and said, Andrew, this stuff doesn't work. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I can't see my guy. So I put my little detective hat on, and I'm following this dump truck in New Jersey, and I see this guy stopping every 4 or 5 stops. I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? He's taking his Nextel phone and putting it inside a potato chip bag. The foil on the potato chip bag prevented the satellites from seeing it. And I said, oh my God, what's this guy doing? And what he was doing, every time he was getting out of the truck, he was getting cash. He was picking up garbage on the side
Wow.
in between his boss's jobs.
Wow. Hell of a story there, man. Andrew, so one of the things that really kind of attracted me to you, and I wanted to talk because I don't. Once again, I want to bring to the loyal listeners things that they don't get to hear a lot about, and telematics is one of those. And you've been heavily involved in that. How long have you been working in that industry or with that product?
Well, since the early 2000s, as I told that story earlier, we that's what kind of got me into telematics. From the Nextel days, we wind up selling these big black boxes that went under the seats, and then we put these big dome antennas on top of the roofs of cars, I should say vehicles, trucks. But the business has drastically changed over the years, Jason, and to all the loyal listeners out there. Years ago it was this big big brother, productivity, efficiency, payroll, billable hours, where's my guys? But nowadays it's really come down to driver behavior and driver safety. And that's
Yeah.
really what I want to focus on today with your loyal listeners is the value of monitoring this data and how brokers can use this data to provide value to their clients.
Okay. So tell me, let's start with that. Tell me how that is.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, the industry has changed. So now these little devices, they're plugging into the mechanics plug. It's called an OBD2 plug or a J-bus. And basically those plugs are what mechanics plug into to run diagnostics of your vehicle.
Okay.
However, we plug into those to grab power, but the devices also have on them accelerometers, which can measure the G-force and hard braking, acceleration, even speeding we get from the odometer reading. And all the telematics companies nowadays have what they call scorecards. And it's kind of like when we were kids, the higher the score, better report card you got, right?
Mm-hmm.
Depending upon what how you studied. So they measure these matrix with 4 or 5 things, which is harsh braking, rapid acceleration, and basically these scorecards are used to try to improve driver safety and try to change people's attitudes and behaviors. And today my message to the brokers is, there's a couple of different ways that they can provide value to their clients is by using companies like our company or any company that can provide a resource to educate your clients on these scorecards and how they can use those scorecards to make themselves look attractive, right? I mean, all the brokers on the call here are all trying to do clean applications, right? Crossing the T's, dotting their I's on these big, long applications. Well, our job is to help them enhance these applications by making their customers look attractive so that they could showcase their clean, safe driving data to these insurance carriers to hopefully not get an increase. Because, I mean, as we all know, we're in this hard market nowadays,
Right.
Jason.
So let's be clear about this. So we have so you're a company, or let's just say any company that does what you do, that you guys, so obviously you're dealing with big brokers because you're not dealing with the small guy because there's not enough commission in it to actually pay for all the expenses and add you in there, because I imagine this isn't a free service. So what is the size of the agency that you're going after, Andrew? How
Well,
many people?
Actually, we're going after all size agencies because we have different products that are for large brokerage firms that aggregate telematics data, and then we go after even the small, medium-sized mom and pop brokers that say, you know what, I want to do something to help provide value to my customer. And I say, all right, well, we have this smartphone app. It's a defensive driving app right on the cell phone. You can offer it to your clients, whether it's a consumer or a business. It's about $10 a month, and the brokers can actually receive 30% of that $10 commission. But more importantly, they'll own the data. By owning the driver behavior data, they can use that data on an annual basis to leverage the insurance companies every 12 months because they will own that driver behavior data.
That's interesting. So we have a hard time. I think it's more in the CSR, the account manager, the salesperson, explaining it and having confidence in it as well. But I think we have this thing of there's this big brother, they're going to be able to find me and track me. And I love when they say that because they carry their damn cell phone with them everywhere, but and the cell phone's usually in the car. Some of the insurance companies use the cell phone data. Also finding out recently from talking to Progressive that a lot of these devices actually been putting in by the manufacturer. And so they're able to track the vehicle and how it drives, and then they sell the information to the insurance companies so they know how the car was driven before I bought it if I bought it used, right? So those are wild things here. And I love what you're saying about the mom and pop because where you got me, I'm thinking, but when you said I have the data, I think that's pretty cool. I think we're at a part in time in our industry where I don't know how we'd use that data yet on a personal line side. I mean, we can say whatever we want and call the underwriter, but the price is what the price is on personal lines. Like you put the price in, that's what it is. So you would that would be very hard to do, but in commercial, I could totally see that. And the mom and pop shops have commercial insurance, so I mean, I do agree that makes more sense. We write larger commercial, Andrew, so that's why I'm kind of thinking to myself, because you know that the margin's there. And that's one of the hardest things about it is even though there's a margin there, everybody wants a little bit of piece of it, you know, especially in today's tech world. Um, I want to talk to you about something. So the behaviors, do you see telematics altering behaviors? I imagine you do. And by how much? I mean, how is it affecting drivers?
Well, I mean, attitudes and behaviors. I mean, you could change a person's attitude and behavior by as much as 80%
Wow.
by rehabilitating these drivers to drive safer and having
Rehabilitating them. I love how you say that. It sounds like they're in damn prison.
well, I got to tell you, if you're upset and you just had you broke up with your boyfriend or you had a fight with your wife or your husband, and you get behind that wheel, you're not in the right frame of mind to drive a car, or any
True.
automobile for that matter,
It's true.
vehicle. So it really has to do with your attitude and behavior. And a lot of these tracking apps, they're not, we call them telematics and tracking, and the ones that do plug in the vehicles, they do. That is typically a tracking. They want to know where you are, but these smartphone apps that are out, the one that we represent is called e-driving, and it's used by Coca-Cola, pharmaceutical companies, and mom and dad, and even the businesses. You don't know where those drivers are, but the drivers can see their own trip. And they can see, hey, I did good smooth braking. I did a good smooth right-hand turn. So we're actually doing positive reinforcement to improve scorecards and to really get them to get engaged and
Huh.
to drive safer.
No, I like it. I like it, Andrew. I think this is something right now that a lot of brokers and stuff, about 20% of them get it, 80% of them don't. But I think it'll be one of those things that we're just, number one, not used to. Now the industry is starting to condition us in it. And now here we go with third parties such as yourself that are coming in and being able to supplement that as well. So it just seems like a lot of the other insurtech, indie tech companies have kind of went the same path. So I applaud you on that, and that's what kind of got my attention on that. Andrew, do you have anything else to say? Because I want to talk about this, but I want you to think about and help me think about something.
Yeah, so again, it's all about the data. All these insurance companies, Liberty, Allstate, they all have their own telematics programs because it works. They want to see the driver behavior and they want to price their policies more profitably, and they're looking for inefficiencies on the pricing. So what does that tell a broker? That tells a broker that they got to get involved in somehow, some way in creating their own risk management program, whether
Hmm.
by using an outsourced company like us as a resource or doing it themselves, because the bottom line is that every year you need to renew your commercial and your personal automobile, your policy, right? So what
Right?
that means is if you go with one of those carriers and you select, hey, they're going to sign up for this telematics program. They own the data, the big insurance company, and then when that 1 year is up, you don't really have that data to use to leverage another insurance carrier for your client. So the fact that you can use a third party, whether you bill it or you don't bill it, and you get involved, you'll have access to that driver behavior data, and you'll be able to show historically safe driving trends going on the upward. And we
Hmm.
all know, you said it earlier, 80-20, right? 20% of the people will get it, 80% won't. Well, you know what? Whether you're in a commercial setting of a large fleet or a small plumber, electrician, the bottom 20% of every fleet are the guys that are 1 mile away from having the next accident. And those are
True.
the companies that we focus on.
Hmm.
We focus on, like I said earlier, rehabilitating and coaching. And it may just be, watch a defensive driving video, a 3 or 4 or 5 minute clip
You do
video.
defensive driving training
We do defensive driving training. We do
on
e-lessons.
site.
We do on-site as well. Absolutely. We do that. The main thing, again, I know we don't have much time, and I really want the brokers on the call to really understand that the data is the key. You need to, all you got to do is ask the question. Do you use any sort of GPS tracking? Do you use any sort of driver behavior monitoring? Because, just by having it doesn't mean that they're actually using it. 8 out of 10 companies already pay for this driving scorecard in telematics, but very few of them even meet on a monthly basis to reward safe driving. So again, it's about paying attention to it, getting owners involved. I mean, nowadays they have these scorecards, Jason. It's great because they have electronic gift cards built right into them, where basically an owner could say, you know what, I want to have a monthly meeting and we're going to do the most improved driver, the safest driver. We'll do 2 awards, and you can send electronic gift cards directly to the phone, right? That the
Mm-hmm.
drivers see. And what's even better is that the scorecards that are on the phone, you can actually see where you rank alongside your other peers. So now we're getting people engaged and we're gamifying it at the same time.
I love gamification. That shit always works, man. It always works, you know. Yeah, I do like it. You know what I found to be true though? We deal with a lot of commercial. A lot of companies don't have a telematics program. They usually have a third party that they will try to get us to use, like they do the same thing with cameras and stuff like that. I'm not saying a lot, but I'm willing to say about 50% of it. Now they offer it on the personal line side, almost every company. But I would be willing to bet that probably a lot of them, especially when you're dealing with the regional carriers, they're not getting that. And that's where I think, Andrew, that you kind of come in there. Besides, regardless, it's the data, right? I think there would have to be a lesson. I would love, I think if loyal listeners, if you want to reach out to Andrew, because I think there's sailing in it. It's like, yeah, I have this data, but now how do I utilize it? How do I know? But also the other thing is on personal lines, it's once again, it really doesn't matter. I mean, that thing is the shit is just the way that it is. So I mean,
Yeah, on the commercial side too, Jason. Again, when you have the data, right, and you can show historical safe driving trends through
yes,
scorecards, through the reports, right? So all these companies
yes,
have speeding reports, harsh braking reports, and you want to do that, and you also want to do continuous driver license monitoring. That's now available out there. It's very
mm-hmm,
inexpensive, and you want to minimize those blind spots for your clients that
mm-hmm,
maybe one of their drivers were involved, God forbid, in a DUI, and the guy's got 2 kids at home, and he's not going to tell his boss because he can't lose his job.
right.
So owners need to know, what's happening outside of work with their employees' driver licenses,
So
because as you
Andrew, I
know,
was
they only
wanting
do it
you,
once
I
a
was
year.
wanting to give you $1 million idea if you wanted to reach out to Google and talk to them about this. I don't know if you have any contacts. I got contacts, but only to the executive level. I'm just joking. Anyways, I've thought of this before. When you're using the Google Maps app, right? Or maybe we use Waze or whatever you're using out there. Maybe you're using Apple Maps. I don't know. But from what I know, I use Google. And it gives you two different routes to go. It gives you the fastest route and it gives you the most economical route. You seen that? So it'll show you like, hey, you can go this way, but if you go this way, it might be a little bit more economical. I think they need to have a third route, and it needs to be safety. With the
Ooh,
data
I
that
like
we're
that.
collecting, we should be able to know where accidents are happening. We should start to know, once again, when we start to live in a social society, we should encourage people to, if they see things like with Waze on the side of the road, well, what about potholes? What about things like that that we can then get fixed? We know where a lot of the speeding is happening. So with Google being able to track this stuff like it does, they should have a third way that would say, hey, this may take you 3 minutes longer, but records show it's more safe. What do you think about
I
that?
like that. I like that. I think that's great. And again, it's really just being conscious of your when you get behind that wheel, and
Mm-hmm.
for brokers that are out there trying to differentiate themselves from the 1-800 number, and just it's such a hard market right now, and they need to be able to consult their clients with technology, and the technology is there. The
Yes.
data's there. So I
Yes.
mean, the main thing is I would tell the brokers that if you can get your clients to share their data, right? To share their data with you, then you can bring in a third party safety consultant that says, you know what? we'll go ahead and review this. We'll put together some sort of driver safety training program where, 6 months prior to your renewal, all the insurance companies want to see is that you are gradually improving in your safe driving.
That's right.
No speeding alerts. Your harsh braking is down. Speeding obviously is the number one thing for accidents, but they're also looking at braking too, because if you're braking a lot, I mean, everybody sees it, right? You see somebody behind you, you're in front of somebody, they're braking, and there's nobody in front of them. They're braking because they're texting, they're on their phone.
Right.
So braking has a lot to do with it too. Um,
Yes, it
again,
does.
I say it. I know I sound like a broken record, guys, but you know what?
You
The
do.
insurance companies own the data. You need to get involved with your clients, because your clients are using tracking, but they're not sharing the data with you. You need to ask your clients, are you using tracking? And if you are you using the data to reduce accidents? Lower frequency and cost of claims, because
See,
that's
I
the
think
name of the
that's the
game.
problem. I think right there is what stops them. You say the data. I think a business owner needs someone probably like you or another firm that can explain it. Okay, how do I utilize this data? Yeah, I've been tracking for 3 years. I mean, how do I utilize this data? Like, not utilize it to call the underwriter. We know how to do that, but how do you make sense of this? I think it has to do probably with the user interface dashboard you probably have or whatever that tracks it. But let's wrap this up, Andrew. Any last minute things that you want to possibly say that you didn't get in there?
No, I just again, I hope everyone just be as conscious when you get behind the wheel. If you have a fight or you get a phone call or something happens personally in your life, pull over to the side of the road, take a couple of deep breaths. It's not worth
No more than
losing your
three
life or
beers.
hurting someone else.
I'm just joking, Andrew. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Now, I really appreciate the opportunity. And again, thank you so much to you and your loyal listeners. Own the data, brokers. Differentiate yourself and
Own the
make your
data.
customers look attractive. Showcase them.
That's right. I like it. Make your customers look attractive. I love that. You can get a little bit of the telematics could be the makeup that your business needs to look pretty to the underwriter. You never know. So
Absolutely.
I love it. So, hey, Andrew, thank you for your time. And all you loyal listeners, thank you, because you know what I do. I do it for you. Tell me your thoughts and tell me your ideas, and I'm going to tell the world what you have to say. This has been Cass. He's Andrew, and we're out. I think it's